यमुना तीर विहारी louder यमुना तीर विहारी वृंदावन संचारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी गोपाल कृष्ण मुरारी यमुना तीर विहारी वृंदावन संचारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी गोपाल कृष्ण मुरारी प्रेम हृदय संचारी बालकृष्ण कन्नाई गोवर्धन गिरिधारी गोपाल कृष्ण मुरारी राधा चेतोहारी मुरली गान विहारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी गोपाल कृष्ण मुरारी गोपाल कृष्ण मुरारी बोलिए श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओ ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. Still very bright. Okay. So today's versus meditation. Only one letter difference between these two. Next, meditation versus only meditation. There. You lift yourself away from the problems. Now, there are certain diseases or sicknesses that we come to suffer, requires surely medication because they are physical ailments. You have a broken bone, you have a stomach ulcer, you have heart attack. These things surely require interference of medical treatment. You need to undergo a proper checkup, diagnosis, etc. But what happens to us is we get used to these things. Going to the doctor becomes a regular affair for even simple problems of like headache. And I have described to you or explained to you before, some of the problems that we encounter in life which appear as the physical problem are basically psychosomatic problems. In other words, they are caused by incorrect thinking. They have physical effect. Psychosomatic, this I have explained to you. Somatic means something to do with soma. Soma means mind. It's interesting to know Lord Shiva is known as Soma, Someshwara, because he has got his mind under control. The mind is represented by the moon. Where does he keep his moon? On the head, a crescent moon. It's our scriptures are very, very symbolic about this. A crescent moon which shows the presence of the mind at the bare minimum level. Why not full moon on his head? Why don't they show it? A full moon means full mind is available. Crescent moon means mind is there but not disturbing him anymore. So when he sits for meditation, what you see that he has is in his forehead a crescent moon, meaning mind is there only to know that I am, but not there for the world. If that is also not there, then he is sleeping. So Soma is moon, and the Ishwar means one who has controlled that mind. Now, this same word Soma is used in the medical world referring to anything to do with the disorders in the mind, somatic. It's very interesting, therefore. So, psychosomatic diseases are those where the individual is incapable of controlling one's emotions, feelings, thoughts, and that has effect on the physical body. You may not fully agree with me unless I give you an example. Let us say you are dreaming, not now, but when you sleep. when you lie down and start dreaming. In the dream, you have a very traumatic experience. Somebody is chasing you with a dagger in the hand, let us say. Not your wife, not your husband or your wife, but somebody trying to kill you. Now, such an experience can cause a lot of agitations in your mind, and you will invariably find that your physical body is pumping higher, high blood pressure, your body is sweating and trembling. You can understand if there is a physical danger, the body reacts to it naturally. But it's all happening in your mind. Still, the body will react. Is it not? Why? Because of thought. Thought has that much power. So if you are afraid of something, it is more psychosomatic than real. In dream, when you sweat, in dream, when you get a high palpitation or high blood pressure, etc., it's all created by the mind. So our rishis who have contemplated upon these possibilities of how thoughts can overrule the body and its reactions have said, if thoughts can do the negative, they can do the opposite also. That even in spite of the physical body is in danger, if you are able to keep the mind under peace, mind under control, the physical body will not react to it. But we are not going to that extreme now. At least let us control, to the extent possible, mind overpowering physical health. Now the studies show, as you see in the screen, main causes for our stress and depressions are a variety of reasons. Some of them are put here. The first order is death of a spouse. That causes the maximum stress and depression in your life. Divorce, second. Marital separation, personal injury or illness, fired at work, retirement, business readjustments, change to different line of work, change in responsibilities at work, trouble with boss or at home, and change in eating habits, minor violations of law. If you see the order in which they are troublesome, the top one is emotional. Professional changes, change in your work atmosphere or change of your workplace, compared to emotional traumas, it's much less. So where our heart is, where our love is, where our emotions are centered, that is where the stress is more. If you are violating a law, if you are getting a ticket, that stress is much far less than fighting with your wife, fighting with your husband, having a very strained relationship with your own people around at home. They cause more stress and depression. Next. So depression is a sign that that who you are as a human being on this earth is not being fulfilled in some way. On one level, it is a psychological problem, but it is often a spiritual issue. Next, James S. Jordan, psychiatrist, Director, Center of Mind Body Medicine. Now, it's very interesting to note, many of the psychiatrists of the higher, well known, they realize that most of our depressions, the stress that we have in our life is to be understood at a different level. It's a spiritual level. Very often people get depressed because they are not able to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. I want to do this, I want to experience this, I want to go here, I want to buy this, I want to possess this, etc. That is on one level. It can cause a lot of depression when you are not able to do that. But it is essentially a spiritual issue. Because what is it? I just do not know what I want. That is the problem. We may get whatever we desire at some point of time, that also goes away from our mind or our list. Still I am vacant, I am empty, I am feeling vacuum. I just do not know what I want. Today only I was talking to one of them. Many of the women, what happens is, I take it in the right spirit. So they get married and they are taking care of children. And after taking care of children and the house and then their own career, etc., and then the children got educated, they finish the schooling and then they go to university. Suddenly there is emptiness. There is nobody to even worry about. Because until then she is worrying about what my children should eat, what my children should go, where they should go, what they should do, and then suddenly they are gone. If there is a career that lady has to pursue children, once they retire, suddenly, who is this person next to me? With me for the past 30 years. I don't think he needs my care. Then what happens, most of them, now grandchildren. Again you are acting, going back, you see, becoming a mother again. Because there is a vacuum. What do you call it as middle life crisis? Middle also there is a crisis, that is one thing. Middle age, there is a crisis there. You can't digest properly, you can't sleep properly and other things. So, because there is no spiritual goal set in life, there is nothing to live for. Anything that you live for suddenly goes away. Children, they go away. Career, that goes away. A husband, he looks on the other way. Now, you see, suddenly there is a vacuum. What do we do? See, it's often a spiritual issue. The problem is that we are not able to have one goal which we live for entire life. That is not there. Next. So each year in US, an estimated 30,000 people commit suicide, with the vast majority of cases attributable to depression. Next. Depression really is a systematic disorder, and many of the neurotransmitters that we believe are involved in the pathophysiology of depression have effects throughout the body. You may say that it is, after all, something happening in my mind, so it has nothing to do with my hands and legs and stomachs and back. No. What you think affects the entire physical body. And this is what the recent findings are. So what is the connection between disease and depression? A person had a heart attack and he was very depressed about it. So he asked this question, did my heart operation cause the depression I am experiencing, or does depression cause heart disease? Which one came first? Egg or the chicken? Which one came first? The pathology of depression shows, next, with a special clarity that mind and body are not separate at all. They are part of a single system. In the case of depression, the interconnectedness takes the insidious form of making the other serious diseases dramatically worse. In other words, if a person is depressed, the possibility of that person suffering out of a simple disease is higher than otherwise. Once you have had a heart attack, for example, your risk of dying from cardiovascular disease is 4 to 6 times greater if you also suffer from depression. Next, it turns out that the heartbeat of a person with depression is unusually steady. It's interesting. Next, that's not necessarily a good thing. Ideally, your heart should be variable, rate should be variable. It means your heart can respond appropriately to the different tasks it is called upon to respond to. So if you say, my heartbeat is always same, there is a serious problem there. That's what they check up. a different task it should behave, or it should, beat at a different. Yes, you are normal. Next, it is not that just the people tend to be depressed because they have a life-threatening illness, or that they smoke, or too lethargic to take their medicine, and are not motivated to eat right or exercise. Even if we take these factors into consideration, depression jumps out as an independent risk factor for heart disease. It may be as bad as cholesterol. Next. So, depression as an independent cause of problem for our physical health is there, independent of whatever else you have. And the problem is, it can expedite your disease much higher. If you are diabetic, depression can make it worse. If you have heart disease, it can make it worse. Any issue with respect to physical body, with respect to depression, it will become worse. So, we do not have real medicine. Next. Diabetes is another illness that does not go well with depression. It is well known that 10% of diabetic men and 20% of diabetic women also have depression, about twice the rate in general population. What is diabetic? Until you die, it keeps beating you. That's called diabetic. Somehow, next, depression makes the body less responsive to insulin, the hormone that processes blood sugar, possibly through the action of cortisol, a hormone that can interfere with insulin sensitivity, and that is often elevated to depression patients. It doesn't work. I have met many of these doctors who I meet with during these such conferences. And they say a person who is enthusiastic to take his medicine cures much faster than one who does not want to. Just a single thought, I don't want to take the medicine. Such person will get cured very slow compared to the other person who is enthusiastic, cheerful about taking medicine. So what is that difference? Medicine is the same. The change is with what kind of an attitude that means with what thought you take the medicine. That is why in India and other places, have you seen, they give the medicine and most people go to the temple, put it in the medicine. Prasad, Bhagavan say, medicine is also prasad. They can cure much faster. Why? It is not the medicine by itself, but the thought that it is, the Lord will take care of. Next. 350,000 women get osteoporosis each year because of depression. Can you believe that? Cortisol appears to interfere with the ability of the bones to absorb calcium and offset the natural calcium loss that comes with menopause and aging. Osteoporosis, what has it got to do with thoughts? It is. It affects even up to the bones. So medication in general, most treatments for depression aim to restore the electrochemical imbalance that leads to depressed brain into warped thinking. Warped thinking is where your thinking is not straight, it is constantly changing, and it's most of the time it has what you call that as a personal perception of every situation. You don't see it as it is, you see it the way you want to see it. Everybody seems to be mocking at you, laughing at you, even though they are not. It's alternate reality that you create in your own mind. The so-called tricyclic antidepressant drugs boosted the activity of the neurotransmitters serotonin and norepinephrine. I don't understand these words, but anyway I say that. And two other neurotransmitters active throughout the body that often relieved depression but caused the effects including overwhelming sleepiness, blurred vision and dizziness. The drugs also proved potentially lethal when taken overdose. So, meaning the medicine will have side effects if you are depressed. So, medicine you take, but it will have more side effects when your mind is depressed while the course of your medication. Next. Neuropharmacologists realized that they could minimize side effects by focusing just on serotonin. Antidepressant drugs like Prozac, Paxil, and Zoloft, known as selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors or SSRIs, were developed to keep serotonin from being reabsorbed quickly into the nerve cells when it is produced. These are all like. Now, next, you would think that treatment would alter the negative relationship between depression and other illness. We don't have proof of that yet. Next. Now, studies have established links between the incidence of depression and several other diseases, including cancer, Parkinson's disease, epilepsy, stroke, and Alzheimer's. Next. Depression almost certainly has a multiple causes that produce similar symptoms. Next. When you only have roughly 8 minutes with your primary doctor, it is a kind of hard to get into the realm of depression. And when you go to see a specialist, the cardiologist is thinking just about your heart, because he has no other area of work. And so when you go to a specialist, he is not asking about how are you thinking, what is your mind, how emotional you are, how are you feeling, is there any problem at home? No. He is only looking at your heart and take that all the tests, and then looks at that as an exclusive analysis. So that is the reason why most of the doctors don't have, first of all, time to talk to. And so the next one very clearly shows. Next. When my clients talk about their problems, they can get buried under the worries of life. I don't like my job anymore, or I keep losing it with my kids. Next. But when they take time to still breathe or use an image to occupy their minds so that they are not thinking of their to-do list, all kinds of ideas come up. Often a real sense of purpose emerges. But who has the time? The doctor doesn't have time to ask you this question, and you go to the doctor only to solve a particular problem, not thinking about what has probably caused the problem, which is independent of your physical illness. That means there is something that is going on in my life which I don't like, or I am not very happy about, which I am dejected about. That could be a cause of this problem is not known to the patients, and doctors also don't talk about it. So what happens is, ultimately, in spite of all the medicines that one takes, in spite of all the treatment one goes through, the other side of the coin is not at all focused, and therefore one continue to become under medication, under a great stress of being unwell, and ultimately what happens is, going to the doctor and taking medicine becomes more and more a routine, and it is not going to solve. A federal study published recently found that 62% adults had used some form of non-conventional therapy in the previous 12 months, with top choices including prayer, deep breathing, exercises, and meditation. Next. National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine, created by National Institute of Health, has 108 million budget for research on approaches such as yoga for people at risk for diabetes, music therapy for imagery exercise for leukemia patients, and chemotherapy, distance healing for brain tumors. So there is a lot of work that is going on in alternative medicine area, and the federal government is spending a lot of money to find out whether there can be a solution through other forms of treatments which can solve the problem, because now we are in dire need of something other than the conventional medicines to keep the people healthy. Topic here. In the list that we have seen before, prayer, meditation, exercise, these are the most well-known alternative treatments that are being prescribed by the federal studies. Now, when it comes to meditation, very often people think that it is just relaxing the mind, etc. But there are many methods. Now, few of them I will just elucidate here. Next, concentrative. Next, directs the mind to a single focus, such as on the breath or a mantra. Today we will be seeing that part of it, how that can help to reduce your unwanted thinking. Basically, depression is unwanted thinking or directionless thinking, where you constantly think about what is wrong with you, what is wrong with the world, what is wrong with everything in your life, which cannot be solved, by you thinking about it, unless you positively act on something. Even to act on positively, you should think positively. So the depression is essentially where you do not have a solution, but you keep going into that again and again and again. In the process, you are wasting your time, number one, and you are looking at the whole world in a very negative way. And I often tell people who come with this problem, I tell them, please don't be in the company of people who think like you. If you are in the company of people who are thinking exactly like you, you'll be in the same condition or worse. You must consciously take yourself to a company where they think differently, positively, and gives you a different dimension or direction of thinking. The second method is mindful awareness, which teaches us an even-handed accepting awareness of whatever arises in the senses. This is a little more advanced, where you have to become a little more quiet to be aware of the sensations that are going on in the body, feelings. The next one is movement. Heightens awareness of sensations of movement, such as in the yoga. You can practice meditation while engaging in yogic exercises, in the sense that every movement that you make, for example, if you are doing Surya Namaskar, that every movement of Surya Namaskar can be a meditation. In fact, in the traditional method of Surya Namaskar, where the 12 steps are given, of 12 names of Lord Sun is uttered, and it is not uttered orally, you do it in your mind. Bhaskaraya Namaha, Adityaya Namaha, Suryaya Namaha, Mitraya Namaha. These you chant not in with the mouth, but in your mind at every posture that you take. So every posture is meditation. That is, when every posture that you take from step number 1 all the way to 12 is a method of focusing your mind only on that aspect of sun with that posture, where the breathing is to be concentrated upon, the stretch of the body, and then how your muscles are pulled, and with that expanded or extended muscles, you meditate upon the quietness of the mind. So, through various yogic practices or asanas, you can still continue meditate there. Next. Visualization. This is another important method of meditation. Generates a mental image for simple crosses or a single square or of color to complex symbols, such as elaborately decorated images. As you probably know, in the Buddhist method of meditation, they do a very elaborate picturization of a mandala. And even while working on those colors, the monks will be in total meditation, only concentrating upon various colors, etc. But the important and most interesting point of their whole process is, after such an elaborate work for hours or days, one moment they will just remove everything, just splash everything. Meaning, nothing is real at the end of the day. So all that intention of making all that thing is to keep your mind focused and visualize. In the Hindu tradition, on the other hand, I recently had a workshop on this in Bakersfield on various forms of meditation. So I was explaining to them that the Shankaracharya himself has written many verses, especially one or two I can quote you here, where he explains the beauty of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu Padadi Keshanta Varnanam, Shiva Padadi Keshanta Varnanam, meaning description of Lord Shiva or Vishnu from the foot onwards up to the head. Every part of the body is very elaborately described. The intention is that as your mind is focusing upon every part of the body of the Lord, which is so beautiful, the mind travels and not goes anywhere else. Travels with you as you describe. The entire picture of the Lord is created in your mind. Every part is slowly brought in, and then the whole picture is created. Thereby, the mind is stuck to that particular image of the form. So the mind is made to visualize a particular most charming, beautiful form, and thereby the mind is not anymore preoccupied with its own, other worries and other depressive thoughts, etc. So why when you go to a temple, like for example, when you go to the temple now, when Lord Krishna is decorated with all the flowers, etc., it is not that we want to just make him beautiful, it is make our mind beautiful. When you look at the form should make a deep, beautiful impression in your mind, which is useful when you sit for meditation. When you close your eyes, the beautifully decorated form should come to your mind naturally and spontaneously, and thereby your mind is in meditation. Next, compassion. This, of course, the Buddhist method cultivates a positive mood or beneficial outlook through the contemplation of such feelings as compassion for all living beings. Next, transformative. Seeks solace or solution to specific problems by turning negative emotions into positive energies. So this also we do in the Vedantic practices, where we take up certain verses from Bhagavad Gita, where it is a positive, it gives a positive empowerment to people. Just like Lord Krishna says, Uddhared Atmana Atmanam Na Atmanam Avasadeyet Atmaiva Atmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ruparatmana. You must lift yourself by yourself. Don't get depressed at all. Don't deject. Don't look down upon yourself. These kind of empowering words of the Gita can give us very positive energy when you are sitting for meditation with an idea that you are useless, you are good for nothing. But then Lord's words can just push you up. So the contemplation is transformative. It can push you to a higher level of mental health. Next. In contrast to the common conceptualization of meditation as a relaxation technique, we think that meditation could be more usefully characterized as a training in the skillful deployment of attention and inhibitory control. This is again an assistant professor, Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences, Emory University School of Medicine. So next one is meditation focusing on breathing. By determining the brain structures involved in meditation and whose activities gradually change in the course of long-term meditative practice, researchers hope this training could be one day used as a complementary treatment for neurological conditions such as Parkinson's disease and attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. Just breathing, just a simple focus upon breathing can be a very healing process, highly healing process for neurological disorders. This is what they are working on. When it comes to the conventional method of meditation, so what we see here is in the Vedantic terminology or Vedantic parlance, meditation is not a method of thinking, or it is not a discipline of thinking, in discipline of going beyond thinking. As you see, it is not a mere means for relaxation. Next, in meditation, you direct your mind towards your own spirit. Next, in meditation, you advise the mind to accept facts and cross the barriers of the mind. Next, your own mind is your friend and your own mind is your enemy, according to Gita. Next, change your perception and change your vision. This is how Upanishads and Gita talk about meditation. It is not just a relaxation. And Krishna never prescribes it as a relaxation technique. He says that meditation is a practice whereby you just get out of the hold of your mind. Meaning the mind cannot hold you anymore there. That's why he said practice of service in the world, Karma Yoga, is meant to be a preliminary preliminary practice making you qualify for meditation. Service to people or selfless work for the people is not by itself an end. It is only preparation. Why it is so? Because when I have done certain amount of my task every day selflessly, my mind is capable of doing things not for me for myself alone. In the meditation, because it is useful, because in meditation you are not going to gain anything material from the world. It is not for any selfish purpose. In fact, there is no goal at all. There is no particular goal you are going to focus in meditation. Don't say that at the end of meditation I will look bright. At the end of meditation I will move from one place to another. Gurudev calls it as a froggy meditation. It is not necessary for you to jump from one place to another. So none of these so-called external results is what you are looking for in meditation. So then what is the purpose? The purpose of meditation is where you, the individual, as a person thinking mind, is no more. You as a soul, as an individual, is no more. You as a suffering soul in this body or suffering individual with respect to all your financial, social, domestic, emotional problems is no more. So, is it possible that I can get out of all these things? Yes. Oh, Swamiji, it is easy for you to say. You don't have any problem. That's what you think. Everybody thinks also, I have more problem than the other fellow. But after all, you will find that so long as an individual soul we are, nobody is devoid of problem. Everyone has it. Even a small child has it. That is a spirit? No. I am independent, free, and each one of us are. Each one of us is. But when do I come to discover or realize that? Only when I give the possibility of reaching there. Only when I seek that possibility, I realize that I can be outside the problem and walk into the problem out of choice, not out of compulsion. I want to solve a problem, I walk into the problem, solve it and get back. Now presently I don't even see that choice, I don't see the possibility because I'm stuck. So meditation is a technique where, as I said, change your perception and change your vision, because it is directing your mind towards the spirit, towards your own real nature. So that is the reason why I have given this. come to realize that there is a greater possibility which is within me, which is not just thoughts. I am awareness. I am consciousness, not I am just conscious of thoughts. So this shift in the personality from being a mere thinking machine to a very ever available platform of consciousness on which the thoughts are dancing. Just like a screen on which this thing is projected is different from the screen. The screen is unmoving, unchanging, single presence on which various colors, various movies, various pictures are projected. So also, my awareness is that which is a changeless, everlasting one on which thoughts are dancing. So I am so preoccupied with the thoughts and I forget that there is something behind as a background. Yesterday somebody asked me this question. Her name is Shruti. So I asked her, she asked me, Swamiji, what is the meaning of Shruti? So I said, there are many meanings. I can give you one. Shruti is the scriptures, where great rishis sat down to meditate and they heard the knowledge and they passed on to the next generation by word of mouth. And over a period of time that is got recorded into more forms of words, and it is referred as Shruti because it is heard. And later on people wrote their own versions of it, their own experiences associated with that, that became Smriti. Like Gita is a Smriti, whereas Upanishad are Shrutis. Another meaning of Shruti is a background music. When anybody is singing, behind there is one person sits there, especially in Carnatic, or there is one person keeps on making some, or even you're singing, you put a Shruti, what do you call that? What do you call in English then? Huh? Music box. Shruti box, Shruti, that's the same thing. So, that music gives a pitch to the person who's singing, if he's singing all right, but anyway. So, it gives a pitch, from there you start. Just like the Shruti, which is there as a background sound, which will give you an idea of which range you have to sing, right? You cannot go off the range in that Shruti. In the same way, our mind is the singing person, but the awareness is the Shruti. There is always there. You only dance to that point, to the tune it is giving. So when we are aware of this background, when you are aware of this background like a screen, similarly when I am aware of this background presence of God's presence as awareness, the thoughts may dance, but you are constantly become available to that background. You get back to it very fast. So yesterday when in satsang, people asked me this question, Swamiji, just 20-30 minutes of meditation in the morning or whenever, how will it affect the entire day? I said, it is like when you first started learning to drive, you did not drive the whole day. You drove for a few minutes with your trainer. After that, you did other things, and then again next day you did for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Next day you did for 30 minutes. So over a period of a week or 2 or 3, at the end of it, you became adept in first of all driving in a place where there is nobody. After some time, little crowded place, and after that in the marketplace. Is it not? And even you dare go to India and drive it also. You had that the skill and guts to do it. In the same way, in a little practice every day to quieten the mind, to take yourself towards the awareness or the very background of your presence will help you over a period of time able to go there whenever you want. Even in the midst of all other thoughts and all other situations, you can quickly get back to your own sense, your own being. You will not get caught up in your web of thoughts. That is what is to be achieved. And so, it is not something which you you realize that, yeah, mind is just a flow of thoughts, an activity of the brain made of water, lipid, and protein. And then our masters have said at any given point of time there is only one thought. Second, third, rapid succession of thoughts make it appear that there is a presence of the mind. And the fourth one is slowing down the thoughts is necessary preparation for meditation. So the best time therefore to meditate is when the mind has not got into the rut of thinking. So early morning is prescribed to be the best time to do that, because your mind is relaxed, you have already taken enough rest, it has not got into the world and other responsibilities. So slowing down the thought is the primary and most important step for meditation. So more I have explained in the book called, a small simple book called Silent Search. Those, now I have to do some marketing. So this usually I give as a simple diagram or graphic way of understanding this. At the beginning of the day, when you begin your day, what happens is the thoughts are there waiting to be launched. Once the thoughts are allowed to enter, begins the endless process. Chaotic movement of thoughts cover the consciousness. The Om right in the middle is the representative of awareness. It is being covered by the endless and continuous movement of thoughts which are haphazardly moving around. This is how we begin our day every day. We wake up with hundreds of thoughts in our mind. Right? This is how every day we wake up, and then as soon as you wake up, you have a list of things. I have to do this, 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 I have to do this. And so there is constant clamoring going on in your mind. You just get in. Now next. So this Om that is there in the middle of that circle or the elliptical, you see, that is representing our awareness, which is our spirit within. Now, if you start the day instead of the previous way, direct the thoughts to a single object in the form of a god, or chanting the name, or watching the breath. Thereafter, start watching the thoughts as they appear one by one. Do not engage in those thoughts. So, when your mind is made to concentrate upon a particular image, or a chanting, or breathing, for example, your mind is now given a direction. Earlier it is so directionless, as you see there, every thought will allow to come. But now you are saying, okay, now this is what I am going to concentrate on. In the beginning stages it is difficult. You must practice for 20-30 minutes. But over a period of time you get the skill of ability to focus upon a particular thought or an image or a chanting or breathing. And that becomes a very easy and very effortless task. It takes time, at least 5 to 6 months to do that. Next. So in the beginning stages, you should practice this for at least 30 minutes a day. Next. Then comes the next stage of how breathing and thinking is so interconnected. So we usually direct the people when we are practicing meditation, take a deep breath, chant Om, and as you chant, release your breath. Then take another deep breath, release in silence. And take another deep breath, chant Om. And again take another breath, release in silence. So this practice is to show that thinking and breathing, you must understand their connection. So as you breathe slow, your thinking is slower. As you breathe fast, your thinking is also fast. In other words, if you think fast, you breathe fast. If you think slow, you breathe slow. So this connection you come to know. So easy way to make your mind quiet is consciously breathe slow. And to enable that, use the chanting of Om. And if possible, you can have a form of the Lord in front of you who is representing that Om. So eyes are engaged, looking at the form, the chanting is there, the body is engaged in chanting, listening the chanting is there, so ears are involved, your mind is concentrating upon this breathing also. So there are so many supporting things that can help you to quieten the mind. Next, the third stage of practice is chant Om slowly in your own mind, don't chant loud, remain silent as long as possible, then chant Om in your own mind, remain silent as long as possible. So widen the gap between chanting and observing silence should be more. So ultimately, from thinking, breathing, being silent. So the silence, when it is extended for a long period of time, you will find that your mind is not even paying attention to your breathing. What happens is the inner stillness is more and more available and vibrantly there. So you'll find that your thought, thinking and breathing both have become bare minimum. If your body is tired, then you will go to sleep at that point. So make sure that you have finished your taking rest and then sit for meditation. Many people, at the end of the day, when they sit for such practices, definitely they will go to sleep. And then they will say, Swamiji, I had a very sound meditation. Yeah, I understand that. You had meditated, but everybody heard the sound. But physical body should be alert, mind should be relaxed, mind should not be tired. And that's why Krishna says, Yukta ahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapna babodasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. When the body action is moderate, sleeping is moderate, and eating is also moderate, then you can enjoy the state of meditation which destroys all sorrows. Dukkhaha, yogo bhavati dukkhaha. Meditation becomes killer of sorrows. Why? Because when the mind has become bare minimum and the silent and still awareness is experienced, then you know thinking is only an option. It is a choice that you make. Now it is not the same way. As you walk into this room, to put on the light or not, is it a choice or not? You can put on the light if you would like to do something here, and when you go out, you switch off and go. Does it happen with our mind to think or not to think? We don't have that choice right now, to think or not to think. It has become such an uncontrollable mechanism. And even as somebody comes and says, put some thoughts in your mind, you do not know what to do with that, and you start thinking about it. So the mind should be made as a choice. That's in the next slide. Fourth stage of practice is in the uncreated silence, you become aware of the birth and death of thoughts. You realize that you are not your thoughts, you have thoughts. In that silence, you as awareness remain in stillness, unaffected by the rise and fall of thoughts. Thoughts do not trouble you anymore. Come on, keep going. Sorry, I didn't say next. So thoughts do not trouble you anymore. And thereafter you realize that this world is as real as the thoughts in your mind. That is where the philosophical aspect of your the philosophy of Hinduism in the Vedanta will become an experience where you know, as the Upanishads say, that the world is as real as your thoughts. If you think it is, it is. If you don't think it is not. That you don't, theoretically you may think, oh, it's a hypothetical hypothesis. No, it is not. You realize that your thought makes the experience. So you choose the way you want. You choose your thoughts, thereby you choose the way you want to experience. So our Gurudev has said next. Gurudev says, silence the mind and listen. This is the real final state of true meditation. And he said, meet me there. I am there waiting for you. Conclusion. Practice meditation and reach the inner silence. Peace that passeth all understanding is within you. Discover the inner strength through meditation and let go of all fear. Let the world stand outside your abode. Go deep within yourself to discover the deathless spirit in you. You would say, meditate, meditate, and meditate. So he always had emphasized that there is no alternative to that. There is no alternative to this experience. So we do have the practice of meditation here every Saturday in the morning at 6:30. Our Raj Mantha has been spearheading it almost every Saturday. He is here to conduct that event. Once in a while, I also join name and come. We should make it as not as a habit, but as a practice. Habit you do unconsciously, practice you do consciously. So make it as a practice to meditate. And then on Saturdays, when you can wake up early and then come here, it's a beautiful atmosphere we are creating in the temple. Lord's form is there, beautifully decorated and all that. And you can keep your mind focused, because when you are in home and you're doing it, the phone ringing and the TV is there, or somebody is crying, not crying, somebody is shouting at you, somebody is wanting to, and somebody says, what are you doing in the room, come out. And then there's a smell of this coffee being made or that, and vada being fried or whatever. Is all that possible? Here nothing, no vada, nothing will be there. Nobody is going to give you anything, don't worry about it. No other disturbances will be there. So there is a place where you can just focus. Another thing is, one must make it as a practice to get out of the routine once in a while. Because when you become a routine, you become mechanical. Conscious living is not possible so long as you do not come out of your mechanical way of thinking. So come out of that, routine of your work and get out and then see yourself from a different standpoint. So that's what meditation does. So I urge you all to practice that. So we have an opportunity and facility for that. So now I conclude. I just take 5 minutes for anybody has a question. Anybody has any question? Yes, Raj. Yeah, go ahead. So as you all know, sorry.